In this video, we're talking about the transits for June 2026 using the sidereal zodiac. I want to start with a quick overview of the transits. So go ahead and grab your planner, your notebook, so you can write these dates down. There's a lot of big shifts this month. We've got Venus going into Aries. We've got Mars and K2 closing in to a conjunction in Leo, and we've also got a full moon in Scorpio, a new moon in Ardra. There is a lot going on. So I will break this down for each ascendant. The jump links will be provided so you can click on your sign. If you don't know your ascendant, you can use your moon sign as well, and I will leave a link below so that you can calculate your sidereal chart if you don't know your placements. And just a reminder, I also am offering natal readings right now. If you're interested in learning about your sidereal placements, I can look at that for you, and I will leave that link in the description. All right, let's get started. First, we're starting out with Venus moving into Aries. She is leaving her sign of exaltation from Pisces to Aries. So this is going from water to fire. And actually, in the next few days, see, I'm recording this on May 28th. So we still have Rahu Ketu going to shift signs, and Venus is going to be going through Gandanta. So that's the last portion of a water sign as it enters into a fire sign. And what makes this such an intense period is that there's no nakshatra that's blending the energies of the signs together. So this can feel quite harsh, quite jolting to the mind and our emotions, which is what all the planets represent. There's some sort of branch from our mind, right? And Venus is the part of our mind that loves, that wants to seek and experience pleasure and happiness. She's the peacekeeper, okay? And she also is the karaka, or the indicator of relationships. So whenever Venus is going through a Gandanta period, you can bet money that it's going to affect some part of a relationship in your life. Okay, so let me just look at my notes here. I want to make sure I go over everything. We've got this impact on the relationships. This is also going to activate themes of feeling appreciated and feeling satisfied. This is Venus going from the universal love of Pisces into a more self-centered, focused love, individual love in Aries, right? Aries is the first sign. It's the self. It's associated with the first house. So there's a lot of this me energy that the shift from Pisces into Aries is going to activate. But first, going through that Gandanta, transiting over that line, is something to untie. There's something that needs to be undone. Pisces is the end of a cycle. Aries is new beginnings. So there's something there, and depending on where this is in your chart, will kind of give you clues as to what area of life that this is impacting regarding your relationships and your sense of value and satisfaction. So something to note here is that when Venus enters into Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars, right? And at the same time, right around the same time, Mars will also be going Gandanta. Mars will be transiting from the waters of Cancer, where it's been debilitated for the last few months, into Leo. So we'll have this fire energy of Aries, this fire energy of Leo. So a lot of confluence there. So whenever Mars is going through a Gandanta point, specifically between Cancer and Leo, this is very unsettling. This first week of June can feel uneasy, unsettling, and there's something that needs to be untangled, right? So Gandanta is that karmic knot. So there's this knot that needs to be untied. And again, wherever Cancer and Leo is in your chart will show you that area of life that is experiencing this. So the theme here with Mars Gandanta is that there's something that you've been nurturing but is not serving your growth. So you must take it away. You must detoxify it. This is a theme around purification, right? So you've got this energy with Venus and Mars, this interplay together, where it's going to be activating your relationships, your feelings of being appreciated, and if you're satisfied with what's going on. And the fact that Mars is the planet of action, going through this Gandanta period, this unsettling, not knowing how to act, and maybe having to, really look inward and see exactly what it is that needs to be purified, that needs to be detoxed out of your life. It could be something that you've been taking care of and nurturing, this idea or this feeling that you've had that's no longer serving you. And it could be tied in with your relationships because we have that Venus in Aries right now. Okay. This could be about self-love, self-care, those sorts of things, how you're taking care of yourself. So then that's just the first week. Okay. So that's just June 1st. And then let's look a little bit at June 2nd through the 8th. And so this is when Mars is making that transition. So I've already talked about it a little bit, but on the 2nd of June, Mars will be at 28 degrees of Cancer, and this is where it's at its deepest debilitation. So Mars has been debilitated in Cancer this whole time, but as it gets to that 28 degree mark, that's where it's at its deepest, its weakest. The ability to act with courage and strength, with focus and determination, all of those things are weakened when Mars is in this position. So this is going to take place on the evening hours of Monday, and then on the 2nd of June, and then by the next day, he will be fully debilitated on that Tuesday. I believe that is, let me look at my calendar. Yes, so the Tuesday is the 3rd. So between the 2nd and the 3rd, Mars will be at its weakest. So if you have any planets around 28 degrees of Cancer, you are going to feel this. This is going to definitely impact you in some sort of way. Now, after Mars experiences this Gandanta, then he starts to move, after Mars experiences this debilitation, then he starts to move into Gandanta. So Mars is really going through it during this portion of the sky. And so he's going to enter in Gandanta on the 4th and will be there for the next 2 days as he transits over the line between Cancer and Leo. So then he'll enter Leo on the 6th of June. And this is where the energies start to really get even more intense, which is crazy, but we just had, or we will tomorrow in the future, we just had K2 entering into Leo. Now it's on the far end of Leo, but we've got Mars coming into Leo at the 1 degree mark, and we've got K2 who moves in reverse coming in at the end of Leo. So for the entire month of June, these two planets are going to move in closer to each other. So you can kind of imagine this as like a squeeze and a pressure of energies. And so, well, what does it mean? Well, Mars is our action. It's fiery, it's heated up. And when it's in Leo, it has a lot to do with, what we're taking action based on our truthful expression, right? Because Leo is that natural association with the 5th house. It's where we express ourselves. It's creativity. So we've got Mars taking action there, which is great, but we've got K2, the shadowy node of disillusionment, of detachment, that wants to remove and strip us from our ego. Okay, so we've got Mars wanting to take action and courageously with our ego, and then we've got K2 coming in wanting to detach from all of it. So this is a really intense energy of not knowing exactly what is right, what is the dharmic path. Because see, Leo is a very sattvic sign. It's ruled by the sun. There is this dharmic path here associated with Leo, and Mars can feel really frustrated as it gets closer to K2. K2 can get also very detached and just wants to not even be associated with anything that the ego wants or that it even represents. So we've got that going on. So there's going to be a bit of intensity, but also there's that confusion going on with Mars not really knowing how to act, because K2's coming in and he's like, no, we want to detach. We don't want to engage with the ego. So Mars wants to act. K2 wants to withdraw. We're going to look at that for each ascendant, specifically based on where Leo is for you in your chart and what Mars rules for you as well. So that's very specific. While Mars is making this movement, going Gandanta, on June 5th, Mercury is going to enter into Gemini, and Mercury is flying. He is so fast right now, and unfortunately, he's not going to spend much time in his own sign with Jupiter, and so this is a very brief transit. He will actually enter Cancer by the 22nd. So we're talking like just a little over 2 weeks. So while Mars is in the middle of his Gandanta, we have this super fast transit of Mercury going through Gemini. Jupiter is there. And then we look a little bit into the future. Sun is going to join this by the 14th. And there will also be a new lunar cycle later this month in Ardra Nakshatra, which is in the center of Gemini. So a lot of air, a lot of Gemini energy this month, a lot of the thinking mind being engaged. Now, Mercury is very strong in his own sign, and he creates a Pancha Mahapurusha yoga for the dual signs. So if you are a Gemini Ascendant, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, then this is activating a very powerful king-like yoga. This is when the sun, when the planet Mercury is in his own sign and also in a Kendra position, which means either the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th houses. So this is very unique to those ascendants, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces. Jupiter's presence in Gemini is going to expand and bring blessings to our ideas and our communications. And I talk about this in my Jupiter in Gemini video. I will maybe put a thing up here or link it in the description or put it at the end. But be sure to watch that video because I really break down what this Jupiter in Gemini looks like. Sun is going to join Gemini on the 14th. So this is mid-month. The sun always changes signs mid-month. So this is actually the second half of Mercury's transit, right? I told you Mercury is only going to be in Gemini for about 2 weeks. So the first week, Sun's not there, but by the second week, Sun is there. So we have Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, all in Gemini. It's about the information we're learning and how we understand it. So Sun is bringing that into focus right now. Now, before any of that even happens, we have a full moon in Scorpio. So this is before Sun even moves into Gemini. We've got June 10th, a full moon in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. This is the eldest star. There's this element of protection here. And while Moon sits in Scorpio, Mars in Leo is going to aspect it using its 4th special aspect. So whenever a planet is being aspected by its ruler, Mars rules Scorpio, this strengthens things, right? So we've really got this strong, powerful full moon taking place on June 10th. I'm actually going to do a breakout video for that full moon. So if you want to check that out, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it. All right, now we're going to fast forward a little bit for June 20th and I'm using Central Time, June 20th at 9:41 p.m. we have the summer solstice. It's a brand new season. Summer will officially begin. And this is a very auspicious time for new beginnings and spiritual growth, right? The sun represents our soul. It's the Atmakaraka of our chart. So this solstice coincides with all of this disillusion energy that's taking place this month. Now, I haven't talked about it yet, but we've got Saturn and Neptune closing in on a conjunction in Pisces. This is all about shattering illusions. And then we've got that Mars K2 closing in Leo. That's also about detachment. And so we've got these themes going on. So the summer solstice is really a time to connect to the sun, and it's where it's placed in your chart that will show you where you're being purified in this lifetime. So wherever sun is in your chart, whether it's in Aries or Leo or Capricorn, it has its own special energy. And the sun is like a beam of light, right? It's like a spotlight in that area of your life. So the sign that your sun is in will actually give it its flavor, its personality, its style, whereas the house that sun is in will show you that area of life that's being purified for you. And it's kind of weird saying purified. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Well, it's like if you think about actually taking your life and your emotions and your experiences and putting them through a filter to remove out the toxins, the impurities, so that you can see with clarity, so that you can live a life with purpose, what you're meant to be here for. And a lot of times we get clouded with the different placements in our charts. They actually create blockages that can prevent us from living out our truthful nature. So wherever the sun is focusing on that part of your life for your whole life. And this is something that you should definitely study in your sidereal chart. In tropical astrology, it's more around like a personality type basis, but in Vedic astrology, the sun's placement in your chart really shows where your soul is here or what your soul is here to do. And purification is actually not a very pleasant thing. It doesn't really feel good to be purified as you're going through the process. So that's why the sun is considered a cruel planet, where it can strip you down from these material desires so that you can pursue a more spiritual life. And that can feel uncomfortable. So wherever sun is, there's this this light of what you're meant to do, what your soul is meant to accomplish in this life, but also at the same time, it can feel bad depending on where you are, what your other placements, and how the other planets support that. So kind of went down a tangent there, but the summer solstice is really a time for you to connect with your sun where it is in your chart. So let's move on. We've got June 25th, a new moon in Ardra Nakshatra. So this is going to continue in on the theme of breaking down, disillusionment, detachment, because Ardra is ruled by Rahu, but also the storm god Rudra. And this is going to be a 28-day cycle of basically looking at wherever Ardra is in your chart, that house is being activated. This is where something needs to be destroyed, right? There's really no other way to say it. Ardra is a destructive nakshatra. On June 28th, we have Neptune stationing to go retrograde. Neptune and Saturn have been around the 7-degree mark, so they've been pretty much in a tight conjunction in the sign of Pisces. Saturn's about boundaries, limitations, restrictions, and Neptune is about dreams, illusions, this mystic energy. I'm actually going to break down the Neptune-Saturn transit a bit more in a breakout video. I'm not going to talk much about this because this is really going to be the energies for July. But just so you know, we've got Venus transiting Aries all month, and then on the 29th, she's going to enter into Taurus. All right, let's get into the individual reports. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in your sign. Hey Aries, so let's start out with the Venus transit. It's going to be in your first house of Aries. So physical appearance becomes a focus for you. Desires to be happy are probably running through your mind for this month. And this is a benefic energy, so it's overall can help your mood. You could overall be in a pleasant mood. Now this is your 1-7 axis of relationships. So this transit reflects your committed relationships, whether it be a spouse or a long-term partner. the happiness you desire for yourself will be shown through your compromises. So Venus rules your 2nd and your 7th houses. So there will be themes around money, finances, resources, your wealth, and also partnerships. Now, Mars will be Gandanta for the first week of June, and he is the ruler of your 1st and 8th houses. So this is going to show some deep emotional insecurities that may surface. Now, with him being Gandanta, it's just saying that these things need to be purified. So think about what kind of toxic attachment that you have that needs to be removed, that is holding you back from your growth. So these toxic emotions are holding you back from honestly expressing yourself. So Mars and K2 are closing into a conjunction in your 5th house of Leo. Now Mars wants to act and K2 wants to withdraw. So these energies can confuse what you want to do, especially related to how you express yourself. So what you can do right now is focus on your goals and how you want to give back to society. What part of your unique self can you share with the world? And that's really the focus here. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. Saturn brings limitation and delay, and Neptune is trying to dissolve those energies. So this can create feelings of detachment, disillusionment. And for you as a fire ascendant, this is taking place in a moksha house for you. So you may feel pressured to let go, but just go with the flow, and you want to transmute any of that negativity into compassion and empathy if you can, which will encourage healing. So Saturn is restructuring how you handle change and control your emotions by dissolving those old feelings and attachments. Pisces is the end of a cycle. So there's something that is coming to an end in that regard, and Saturn is restructuring that for you. Now on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle that will begin in Ardra Nakshatra. So this new moon falls in a Kama house. This is activating satisfaction, your social life, how you enjoy yourself. And Ardra is ruled by Rudra, that storm god. So this is trying to dissolve what is no longer useful in your relationships and your social circles. So that's something to think about during that new moon. That'll be towards the end of the month on the 25th. Now I'll break down these other major transits in separate videos, so just be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along, and I hope you have a great month. Hey Taurus, so let's start out with Venus, your ruling planet, transiting your 12th house. So this is going to bring a focus on spiritual pursuits and can even make you want to escape into some good food, extra sleep, watching movies, anything that makes you just feel good. And you will enjoy some happiness in solitude at this time. So this is activating your 6-12 axis of control and surrender, which is really about your relationship with trust. So it's about letting go of the things that you cannot control in your relationships and finding that balance. That balance between working on the relationship and enjoying it. That's what that 6-12 axis is all about. So Venus is your ruling planet and also rules the 6th house. So this shows that you may have a hard time getting out of your comfort zone to make those difficult decisions. Especially learning when to let go and move on to make room for that true happiness to come in. That's really the important lesson with Venus wrapping up this cycle in Pisces. So Mars will be Gandanta for the first week of June, and he is the ruler of your 7th and your 12th house. So this shows a connection between your relationships and that need to escape into solitude. So something needs to be detoxified regarding the information you take in and how you connect with it on an emotional level. Now, after this Gandanta period, Mars and Ketu will close in towards a conjunction in your 4th house of home, mother, personal, private life. See, Mars wants to act and Ketu wants to withdraw. So this can bring confusion in your relationships and home life. There is a focus on your career and practice. You can help this energy by focusing on your career and practice what you believe in. That's all about that Capricorn energy. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month, and Saturn brings limitation and delays while Neptune tries to dissolve that. So this can create feelings of detachment and illusionment. And for you, disillusionment. So this can create feelings of detachment and disillusionment. And for you as an Earth Ascendant, this is taking place in a Kama house. So there could be delays in your satisfaction overall. Saturn is restructuring how you enjoy life, and how you communicate and socialize with others is becoming more practical during this time. Illusions are dissolving around what you think brings you joy, and this will reveal what truly brings you happiness. Now, on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle that will begin in Ardra Nakshatra in Gemini. So this is an Artha house for you. This transit's going to influence your material world, your money, your work, responsibilities, how you bring in money, finances, what you value. So Ardra's storms, ruled by the god Rudra, is going to try to destroy what is no longer useful for your security and your stability goals. So this is long-term here. So this month, it's going to be towards the end of the month, but this new lunar cycle will be about a 28-day, reflection on this. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to see the other transits, I will break out those in future videos. So be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And I hope that you have a wonderful June. All right, Gemini Ascendant. Venus is transiting your 11th house. So this is how you enjoy the fruits of your labor. This is your house of gains. It's where you feel satisfied with your current goals and aspirations and even enjoy spending time with friends. This is your 5-11 axis of personal truth. You may seek approval from others, especially the women in your life, and you always want to please other people. So this can make you hesitate when expressing yourself. Venus rules your 5th and 12th houses, indicating that your self-expression is connected to themes of letting loose, escaping, but this can also bring in that solitude piece and can feel isolating depending on how you look at it. Now, Mars will be Gandanta for the first week, and he's the ruler of your 6th and 11th houses. So there will be themes of work and your goals that must undergo some sort of detoxification. There's something between your voice and personal courage that needs to be worked out. Now, after the Gandanta period, Mars and Ketu start to close in towards a conjunction in your 3rd house of self-effort. Mars wants to act while Ketu wants to withdraw, which can create some confusion on how to communicate. You want to focus on your higher learning, connecting with a teacher or mentor who can help you deepen that knowledge base. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. So Saturn brings limitation and delay, and Neptune tries to dissolve all of that. So this can create more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. But for you as an Aries Ascendant, this is taking place in an Artha house. So Saturn is restructuring old illusions around your sense of security, money, resources, And there's this practical pressure of Saturn that will force you to look at and handle your resources differently. This is going to help you create a new way to provide for yourself. Now, on June 25th, there's a new lunar cycle beginning in Ardra Nakshatra. This new moon activates a Dharma house for you, and this is all about meaning and purpose and being fulfilled. Ardra is aiming to dissolve an old identity pattern so that you can see the world, so that you can see your truthful path that will bring you fulfillment, that will bring you actual purpose and meaning in life. So I hope you found this helpful. I will break out the other transits in separate videos, so be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful June. Now, Cancer Ascendant, Venus is transiting your 10th house. You feel good about your career and the actions based on your beliefs and your work. Your relationships are more pleasant. This is your 4-10 axis of reputation. So Venus here will bring beauty and pleasantry into your actions this month, especially related to your career. Venus rules your 4th house of emotional connection and home, and the 11th house of gains. So there's networking and connecting that will get a boost this month. Now, Mars will be in Gandanta for the first week of June, and he's the ruler of your 5th and 10th house. So there's this theme of creativity and career that must be detoxified. There's something concerning your independence and your ability to provide for yourself. Afterwards, Mars and K2 will move towards a conjunction in your 2nd house of money, values, resources. See, Mars wants to act and K2 wants to withdraw. So there can be this confusion around how to act with your finances, with family issues, or even your career issues. So you want to focus on investing in your future instead. And this will involve, maybe research or uncovering some hidden knowledge. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. Saturn brings limitation and delay, while Neptune wants to dissolve all of that. So this can create more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. So for you as a water ascendant, this is taking place in a Dharma house. So Saturn is restructuring your life to bring it more purpose and meaning. And old illusions are being dissolved. This is showing you what you are willing to work hard and sacrifice for. Now, on June 25th, there's a new lunar cycle beginning in Ardra Nakshatra. This transit is in a moksha house for you. This is bringing up emotional patterns, hidden fears, or maybe even unresolved grief. Excuse me. So the reins of Ardra may feel really heavy as it tries to destroy those old emotional burdens. This is going to force you to release what is no longer beneficial for your growth. So you're going to want to let what comes up flow through you without resistance. This is like that saying, there's no way out but through. This is very much that theme for that new moon cycle. Is going to be later in the month. Now, I'm going to break out the other transits in separate videos, so be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful June. Leo Ascendant, welcome. We're going to start out with Venus transiting your 9th house. This is your 3-9 axis of learning and understanding. So Venus rules your 3rd and 10th house, indicating a connection between your self-effort and your career. Your 9th house will have themes around relationships, courage, and action. Now, Mars will be Gandanta for the first week of June as a ruler of your 4th and 9th houses. This is going to be themes around your home life, mother, father, your beliefs, and what you feel emotionally connected to. So a detoxification is needed that will help you move on to the next chapter in your life. And there is something you need to let go of that you may have nurtured previously, but now is no longer serving you. So after this Gandanta, Mars and Ketu will start to move together in a conjunction in your first house. See, Mars wants to act and Ketu wants to withdraw. So there can be confusion on what to do to move forward in your life. So be careful not to act with impulse and lean into that unique expression that you have. You want to focus on how you show up in relationships and make commitments where you can share your talents with others. This is very important. With Ketu moving into your first house and Mars there, this is going to really bring some kind of stop-go energy for you around pretty much everything in your life, because your first house bleeds out into the rest of the chart, so to speak. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. So Saturn brings limitation and delay, while Neptune wants to dissolve all of that. So this can create more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. And for you as a fire ascendant, this is taking place in a moksha house. So you may feel pressure to let go with the flow, and you want to transmute that negativity into empathy, into compassion. This is going to encourage the healing process if that's where you are. Now, Saturn is restructuring how you handle change and how you control your emotions. So this is going to take place through dissolving of old feelings and attachments at this time. Now, on June 25th, there's a new lunar cycle beginning in Ardra Nakshatra. This new moon falls in a Kama house, so it's activating satisfaction, your social life, themes of enjoyment and pleasure. And Ardra's storms will try to dissolve what is no longer useful in your relationships and social circles. So that's something to think about. This is towards the end of the month and we'll go into July. So I'm actually going to break down the other transits in separate videos. So just be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful June. Virgo Ascendant, welcome. Venus is transiting the first of the month in your 8th house. This is about desires for change. So a secret may be revealed regarding a relationship, or relationships might undergo some kind of transformation that may be sudden or unexpected. Now, Venus rules your 2nd and 9th houses. So this is indicating a connection between your values and your beliefs. So transiting your 8th house shows a sudden change in your finances, perhaps, or maybe a relationship where hidden knowledge is revealed that will impact your overall perspective. So Mars will be Gandanta for the first week of June, and he is the ruler of your 3rd and 8th houses. So there's themes of courage and, again, those sudden changes that could come up. And this is going to be around purifying an old desire, an old dream or goal that you've had, and it may be time to let go so that you can continue on your soul's journey, so that you can evolve to that higher place. So the divine is actually holding something for you, but you must release that insecurity first. Now, after this Gandanta period, Mars and Ketu will move towards a conjunction in your 12th house. Mars wants to act and Ketu wants to withdraw. So there may be some confusion around what to let go of. But reflecting on what you can control and what you can resist will help bring some clarity. You're going to want to focus on your health and creating a daily routine that empowers you, something like that. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. Saturn brings limitation and delay, while Neptune wants to dissolve all of that. So this can create feelings of detachment or disillusionment. And for you as an Earth Ascendant, this is taking place in a Kama house. So there could be delays in satisfaction. Saturn is restructuring how you enjoy life, and how you communicate and socialize with others is becoming more practical at this time. So illusions are dissolving around what you think brings you joy. In this transit will reveal what truly brings satisfaction. Very interesting. Okay, so on June 25th, a new lunar cycle begins in Ardra Nakshatra in an Artha house for you. So this transit influences your material world, money, work, responsibilities, values. And Ardra storms will try to destroy what is no longer beneficial long-term for your security and stability. Now, I'll go over the other major transits in separate videos, like the sun moving into Gemini and the full moon in Scorpio. So be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have a great June. Libra Ascendant, welcome. We're going to start out with Venus transiting your 7th house. So Venus is your ruling planet, and in your 7th house, this transit activates your themes of relationship, being satisfied. Venus also rules your 8th house, so some kind of transformation, dealing with hidden information, or maybe even a secret that must be dealt with might arise. Mars rules your 2nd and 7th house, so he'll be in Gandanta for the first week of this transit. Now, a detox is needed regarding your ambitions and your aspirations. Something you are working on is no longer supporting your dreams. So Mars and K2 will, after this Gandanta period, will start to close in on each other in your 11th house of gains and achievements. So Mars wants to act and K2 wants to withdraw. So there could be this confusion around what you want in the grand scheme of life. What you'll want to do is focus on your creativity and sharing your gifts with the world. That's going to help with that confusion if it does arise. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. And Saturn brings limitations and delays while Neptune tries to dissolve that Saturnian energy. So this can create more feelings of detachment and delusion, or disillusionment rather. And for you as an air ascendant, this is taking place in an Artha house. So Saturn is restructuring old illusions around your sense of security, your money, your resources. This is a practical pressure of Saturn, and it's going to force you to look at and handle your resources differently moving forward. So creating a new way that you provide for yourself is really what Saturn is working on here in this Artha house. Now on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle beginning in Ardra Nakshatra. This new moon activates a Dharma house for you, and it's making it all about meaning and purpose. Ardra is aiming to dissolve an old identity pattern so that you can see your truthful path that truly brings fulfillment. Dharma houses are always really powerful when there is a new lunar cycle. Now, I'm going to break out the other transits like Sun going into Gemini, the full moon in Scorpio, into separate videos. So be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have an awesome June. All right, Scorpio Ascendant, Venus is transiting your 6th house. So she's not very happy there. So you may be disinterested in work now and would rather do something more fun than your boring day-to-day responsibilities. Venus rules your 7th and your 12th house, so indicating a connection between your relationships and expenses or even loss. These are the themes that are coming up right now with Venus and Aries. Now, your ruling planet Mars is going to be Gandanta for the first week. And Mars also rules your 6th house. So there is a challenging situation that needs to be overcome and will require letting go of something that you thought made you happy. This is a bit of a detoxification. So this release requires you to take the right action, especially concerning your career. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. Saturn brings limitation and delay, while Neptune wants to dissolve all of that. So this can create more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. And for you as a water ascendant, this is taking place in a Dharma house. So Saturn is restructuring your life to bring in more purpose and meaning. Old illusions are being dissolved. This is going to show you what you are willing to work hard for and what you're willing to sacrifice for. Now, on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle that begins in Ardra Nakshatra in Gemini. So this transit is in a moksha house for you. This is bringing up old emotional patterns, hidden fears, or maybe even some unresolved grief. The rains of Ardra can feel really heavy as it tries to destroy those old emotional burdens. So it's going to force you to release what is no longer beneficial for your growth. You're going to want to let what comes up flow and try not to resist it. It's like that saying, the only way out is through. And that's very true here. Now I'm going to break down the other transits like Sun in Gemini, the full moon in Scorpio in separate videos. So just be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have a great June. Sagittarius Ascendant, we're going to start out with Venus transiting your 5th house. This is activating your 511 axis of truth and validation. So Venus rules your 6th and 11th houses. This is indicating a connection between your hard work and your achievements. Your gains through service are transiting your 5th house of fun and imagination. So this could be a very creative time at work. Now, Mars will be Gandanta for the first week and is your 5th and 12th house ruler. So there's a significant transformation that's occurring related to an old attachment that's no longer serving you and is holding you back from a new adventure. Now, Mars and K2 after the Gandanta will start to move in towards each other, towards a conjunction in your 9th house of beliefs. And so Mars wants to act and K2 wants to withdraw. So there can be some confusion around what you really think you know, what you really feel like you believe. A remedy for this is to focus on learning and taking in new information that you can actually feel connected to. That's really important. Information that you can hold that will be easy for you to share with others. This will help you feel more in tune, more aligned with yourself. Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. So Saturn brings limitation and delays, while Neptune wants to dissolve all of that. So this can create more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. And for you as a fire ascendant, this is taking place in a moksha house. So you may feel pressured to let go with the flow, and you're going to want to transmute that negativity into empathy, into compassion. This is really going to encourage any healing that needs to be done or take place. Now, Saturn is restructuring how you handle change and control your emotions. So this is going to happen through dissolving of old feelings and attachments. Now, on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle in Ardra Nakshatra in Gemini. So this new moon falls in a Kama house for you. This is activating satisfaction, your social life, how you enjoy things, your pleasures. And Ardra's storms will try to dissolve what is no longer useful in your relationships, in your social circles. So that's something to think about. Now, I'm going to break out the other transits in separate videos. So Sun moving into Gemini, the full moon in Scorpio. So be sure to subscribe and if you want to follow along. And I will wish you a happy June. Oh man, you can tell I've been doing this. I'm almost at the end. I start to stumble on my words. Anyways, have a great June. Capricorn Ascendant, Venus is transiting your 4th house at the beginning of the month. So this is a time to enjoy time at home, peace and quiet, solitude in that way. Venus is activating your 4-10 axis of home and career. So Venus rules your 5th and 10th house. This is showing a connection with your self-expression and your career. Now, Mars will be Gandanta in the first week, and as the ruler of your 4th and 11th house, this is indicating a major transformation in a relationship that could be quite emotional, but there will be gains at the end. So first, something needs to be detoxified regarding a relationship. And then once that Gandanta period is over, Mars and Ketu are going to start to move towards a conjunction in your 8th house of sudden transformation, hidden knowledge. See, Mars wants to act and Ketu wants to withdraw. So this can bring confusion around the changes that are taking place around you. So you're going to want to focus on how you can be independent, perhaps financially independent, and value what gives you lasting support and security. Focus on those things at this time whenever those moments of confusion arise. Now, Saturn and Neptune will also be conjunct in Pisces all month. So Saturn's bringing limitation and delay, while Neptune is trying to dissolve all of that. This can create more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. So for you as an Earth Ascendant, this is taking place in a Kama house. There could be delays in satisfaction. Saturn is restructuring how you enjoy life overall, how you communicate, how you socialize with others. These things are becoming more practical. Now, illusions are dissolving around what you think brings you joy, but this is going to reveal what truly does bring you satisfaction. Now, on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle in Ardra Nakshatra. So this is in an Artha house for you. This transit is going to influence your material world, money, work, responsibilities, what you value. See, Ardra storms are going to try to destroy what is no longer beneficial. So it's going to want to focus on long-term what is best for your security and your stability. So that's something to think about during this lunar cycle. It's going to be at the end of the June or end of the month, and we'll go into July. I will go over the other transits such as Sun moving into Gemini and the full moon in Scorpio in separate breakout videos. So be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have an awesome June. Aquarius, welcome. Venus is transiting your 3rd house of courage and communication. So Venus transit activates your 3-9 axis of learning, understanding, knowledge. And Venus rules your 4th and 9th house. So this is indicating a connection with your home, higher learning, those sorts of things. And Venus in your 3rd house is showing enjoyment through learning something new, taking on a new interest, or just feeling satisfied with your efforts. Venus is a benefic planet. She does bring happiness wherever she transits. So moving on, Mars will be Gandanta for this first week. And as the ruler of your 3rd and 10th house, there is this theme of effort and courage at work. So something must be detoxified before you can move forward in your relationships, perhaps even with a business partner. So this may be due to an enemy at work or a challenging coworker. Mars and Ketu are moving towards this conjunction in your 7th house, your house of partnership. Now, Mars wants to act and Ketu wants to withdraw, so this can bring confusion around relationships at this time. To help this out, you want to focus on yourself, okay? This is a freebie to focus on yourself and think about how your actions affect those around you, because how you project is ultimately how others will treat you in return. This is that 1-7 axis. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. Saturn brings limitation and delay, while Neptune wants to dissolve all of that. So this can create feelings of detachment and disillusionment. And for you, this is taking place in an Artha house. So Saturn is restructuring old illusions around your sense of security, your money, your resources, how you provide for yourself. And there's this practical pressure that will force you to look at and handle your resources. You're going to have to do something differently moving forward. So this is going to create a new way that you provide for yourself. Now on June 25th, there is a new lunar cycle beginning in Ardra Nakshatra in Gemini. This new moon is activating a Dharma house for you, making it all about meaning and purpose. Ardra is aiming to dissolve an old identity pattern so that you can see your truthful path that really brings fulfillment. This is really important. Now, this takes place towards the end of the month, so those energies are going to leak into July. And I'm also going to cover the sun going into Gemini and the full moon in Scorpio in separate videos. So if you want to follow along, be sure to subscribe to this channel. And with that being said, I hope you have an amazing June. Pisces Ascendant, welcome. Venus is transiting your second house of money, wealth, speech, values. And this transit activates your 2-8 axis of attachment. So Venus rules your 3rd and 8th houses, connecting your courage and transformation together. Venus in your 2nd house shows themes related to money, family, and the resources that you bring in. Now Mars will be Gandanta for the first week, and as the ruler of your 2nd and 9th houses, there will be something related to your speech, your voice, and what you are knowledgeable about that will help detoxify something between your personal truth and hard work. Now, Mars and K2 after this Gandanta period will start to move towards each other, towards a conjunction in your 6th house of health and work. So Mars wants to act and K2 wants to withdraw, which can bring confusion around where to put your efforts exactly. So what you can do is focus on your spiritual pursuits. This can feel a bit isolating, but strengthening your connection to the divine or wherever you want to put your beliefs in will help you move into the next significant chapter in your life. Now, Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct in Pisces all month. This is your 1st house. And Saturn brings limitation and delay, while Neptune is trying to dissolve all of that. So this can create even more feelings of detachment and disillusionment. And for you as a water ascendant, this is taking place in a Dharma house. So Saturn is restructuring your life to bring it more purpose and meaning. Old illusions are being dissolved at this time, but this is going to show you what you are willing to work hard for and what you are willing to sacrifice for. Now, on June 25th, there's a new lunar cycle beginning in Ardra Nakshatra in Gemini. This transit is in a moksha house, bringing up emotional patterns, hidden fears, or maybe even unresolved grief. So the reign of Ardra can feel really heavy as it tries to destroy those old emotional burdens. So this is going to force you to release what is no longer beneficial for your growth. But the important thing here is to let whatever comes up flow through you, right? This is like that saying, the only way out is through, and that is very true in this case. Now, this will be towards the end of the month, and those energies will carry into July as well. And I'm also going to break out the transits for Sun in Gemini and the full moon in Scorpio in separate videos. So be sure to subscribe if you want to follow along. And with that being said, I hope you have a